welcome all of you to this webinar. Today we are going to talk about modernization with maximum success. My name is Mayur Shah. I'm Director of Platform Marketing here at Waymaker. Also, I lead the sales engineering effort for the entire APAC region at Waymaker. Today with us, we have two of our esteemed customers, Mr. Chandana Veerakun. He's from Medical Wizard, Australian healthcare IT company. Also, we have Raja Sundaram, who heads the Deputy Vice President, and he heads the application delivery for the insurance products. So, welcome to Chandana, welcome to Raja Sundaram. We will talk about their journeys and their success stories towards the later part of the webinar. That is the focus of today's webinar. So again, thanks all for joining this webinar, and we'll get started now. Quick agenda, we are going to talk about the application modernization, give you a bit of a context of the modernization challenges and the approaches that are happening within the enterprise today. We'll then touch upon the Waymaker platform itself. In this call, we have so our existing customers have joined. We also have a number of new prospects who will give a context about the platform. And then we'll spend most of the webinar talking about customer journeys. As I mentioned earlier, we have two of our customers today. We'll talk to them about their experiences about the modernization journey. We'll talk to them about the challenges and the benefits that they got from using the platform. And then finally, we'll open the call for Q&A. In the chat window, for all of you, you have the ability to put your questions, and we'll take those questions towards the end of the webinar, and we'll try to answer all of them. Also, one more thing, the webinar is recorded. So for those who would like to forward the webinar to your team members, and for those who could not attend today, we'll have the webinar sent over to you guys, and you can see it at your leisure. Just one more additional announcement. We also have Rahul Gupta, who's joined this webinar. Rahul heads the sales for APAC region at Waymaker, and he can be reached out at rahul.gupta@waymaker.com for additional queries after this webinar. Quickly about our company itself. Waymaker is a subsidiary of Pramati Technologies. Pramati Technologies has been around for almost 2 decades. For those who don't know about Pramati, Pramati is a leader in middleware and application integration, and we've built a number of products over the years. Waymaker is a subsidiary of Pramati. Waymaker as a platform was acquired from VMware back in 2013. And since the last 4 years, we've completely transformed the product into a full-fledged application development and modernization platform. Pramati as a company also has multiple other subsidiaries like SpotQ's, Rev Marketing, and so on. Imaginia is also another subsidiary of Pramati that is our implementation partner. So for a lot of our implementation services, Imaginia is our partner, and we work very closely with them to help our customers to take on these modernization journeys. A little bit about Waymaker itself. As I mentioned earlier, Waymaker has been with us for the last 4 years. We've been quite successful in transforming the platform. It used to be a single user developer product when we had acquired from VMware. And in the last 4 years, we've made it into a multiple collaborative application development and a deployment modernization platform. We've been covered by the analyst for our innovations. Also, we've been adopted by a number of enterprise customers, a few of the list you see here on the bottom as well. Let's talk a little bit about modernization now to set some context. If you look at the modernization, which most of you within your companies must be experiencing as well, the modernization journey is, you call it digital transformation, you call it legacy modernization. There are different terms out there, but in a sense, what all these mean is that within the enterprise today, there is a need to rapidly become more agile and rapidly deliver applications. And the modernization as a transformation is happening at 3 different levels. At the infrastructure level, you're seeing your workloads being moved away from data center to using the cloud to get better efficiency, scalability, and cost considerations. Right above that is the DevOps layer, where Earlier, what used to be very manual and slow release cycles no longer work for the business. Business today want rapid, error-free, and fast delivery of their applications. And containerization as a technology is something that we are all seeing also being adopted for that purpose. And then on the top level is the application layer, where the decades of legacy old applications are being modernized to be more open standards, multi-channel, hybrid, responsive applications. So Waymaker as a platform addresses both the application and the DevOps layer, and our modernization journey helps enterprises to modernize both their DevOps as well as their application layers. So talking a little bit about the modernization itself that Waymaker approaches. If you look at your existing applications today, whether they are monolithic, legacy, or from older technologies, and you want to modernize them, there are essentially two choices that you have today. One is you take the wrap and build approach, where you continue to use your existing backend business logic, you wrap that with an API layer, and you build modern responsive front ends, which are more appealing and more meeting the needs of your users today. That is an approach that is taken by some of our customers. The approach is faster, it's quicker, it helps a better usability for your customers. The only downside of that is you continue to carry the baggage of your existing business logic, but it is one step in terms of your modernization journey. The second approach is what we call as refactor and rebuild, where you completely overhaul both the backend business logic as well as the front-end logic. In this case, you build a new business logic, which is more API-driven business logic, and then you again build modern responsive front-end, or which are more hybrid and responsive for your end users. Waymaker as a platform supports both these models, and it's really a choice of the customer based on their business need in terms of what choice that they want to start with. In terms of the platform itself, for those who are new to this platform, Waymaker platform is a low-code application modernization platform. It supports a visual drag and drop interface to build your entire full stack application, be it a web application or a mobile application. It's completely built on open standards, and it's the only low-code platform in the market today that supports the modern technology stack as shown here. As we speak, we are also modernizing the technology stack. We are moving from Angular 1.7 to a new version of Angular 5 as we speak in the platform. It supports a lot of other technologies like modern services architecture, containerized application delivery, the ability to host the platform on an on-prem as well as on the cloud. And finally, it has a complete release management built into it, so that not just your development is done with rapid pace, but also you have integration to a release management cycle that can be done with much more ease. In terms of the journeys that our customers have adopted, the platform supports both a platform and a services model that in combination allows our customers to take their legacy applications and move them to be more modernized. And in that regards, what the platform does is, today it reuses a lot of enterprise assets. Within your companies, you have a lot of existing database business logic systems of record that has been persistent for the last 2 decades, right? And you don't want to just throw that off, because it has a lot of value and a lot of business logic in it. With the platform, you can reuse that enterprise assets, take your legacy applications, modernize them by creating reusable components, which are more UI components as well as backend components. Use business logic and automatically create microservices out of it through the platform, and then use containers as a way to deliver those applications, whether on-prem or on multi-cloud scenarios. On top of that, we have our services team, professional services, which is led by Imagineer as well as Waymaker Professional Services, as well as we have our partners in various regions that do a services-led approach on top of the platform, because they can amplify the modernization journey. With regards to the services, they look at evaluation at what the customer already has. They do a discovery of their existing assets and existing components that can be reused. And then from an implementation and a maintenance standpoint, they use the platform capabilities to do a low-code platform approach to modernize their application development. So with that, they get more agility, they are able to cut down their cost, and they get a much more predictable approach to take these modernization journeys. In terms of the business benefits that the platform then gives to the customers is that they get a lot of cost saving because they are able to build their applications in a much more productive manner. In some cases, we've seen our customers reduce their cost as well as their time factors by more than half. They can future-proof their application development journeys because of having a modern technology stack that we use. They're able to get a much more longer runway in terms of the modern stack that can be then used for a longer time for their applications. They can take the platform and services to the market quicker. Ability to reuse some of their existing assets helps them to utilize their sunk cost and licensing cost. And finally, using as containerization as an application deployment paradigm, they're able to reduce their infrastructure cost and utilize not just on-prem, but more hybrid models for their application deployment. So these are clearly some of the business benefits that the platform has given to our customers. So that I wanted to give you a context of what the platform is and how our customers have taken their journeys. But now I want to have you hear the platform journeys that our existing customers have taken for real. And in today's call, we have two customers. Medical Wizard is a healthcare IT company. It's been around for almost 24 years out of Australia. And they are our customer for almost a decade, right? They've been Waymaker customers for a decade. They were using the older version of the platform. And as we transformed and modernized the entire platform, they've been our partner and been hand in hand with us for the last 4 years as well. We also have Kriya Infotech, which is a global information technology company out of India, but they serve worldwide customers for their insurance as well as their banking domains. And they will also talk about their modernization journey today. They also have been our customer for the last 4 years. So with that, I would like to now introduce both Chandana Veerakun as well as Raja Sundaram. Chandana Veerakun is the CTO of Medical Wizard. Chandana, thanks so much for joining this call. And if you can just talk a little bit about Medical Wizard and specifically about your role in the organization, we will get started that way.
Thanks, Mayur. Welcome, everybody. Medical Wizard is a software company. We are based in Australia. We develop and market a software product called Medical Wizard, which is specifically aimed at specialist doctors and hospitals in Australia. We've been around for 24 years, and as CTO, I am responsible for the product development and delivery both. And we have a development team in Australia, but also have an offshore development team in Sri Lanka. And we've been with WaveMaker, as Mayur said, for a long time. And over to you, Mayur.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Chandana, for that quick introduction. We also have Raja Sundaram. Raja heads the application delivery at Kriya Infotech. So Raja, great to have you here. Can you tell us to our audience on what role do you charter within Kriya Infotech?
Yeah, thanks, Mayur. Hello, everyone. This is Raja Sundaram here. I'm from Kriya Infotech. We are a global information technology company, provides products for insurance and banking sector. And we also have, I head the digitalization team responsible for providing digital solutions to the insurance and financial services sector. Over to you, Mayur.
Hey, thanks, Raja. So great to have you both here. Looks like both of you are sort of like the key decision makers for application delivery within your business units. So we'll hear a lot about your journeys today. So now let's move forward. Let's understand a little bit about the problems that they had to solve. We'll start with Chandana. Chandana, being in the healthcare space, can be a lot of challenging. Things like compliance and security is something always at the top of your concerns. Can you talk a little bit about some of the business problems that you're trying to solve, in your business?
Yes, Mayur. One of the things that is happening in most of the developed countries is that there is an aging population because the average life expectancy is increasing. So we have the demand for health services is increasing rapidly. Now, in order for us to meet this demand as technology suppliers and partners to healthcare industry, we have to provide solutions that enable doctors and nurses and other healthcare providers to be able to treat more patients with less resources. So that is one of the challenges we constantly face, where we need to constantly innovate to be in this process, to be ahead of the game. And the other thing that we are having, the challenge that we are facing is doctors are a very busy crowd and they have very little spare time. So the traditional way of doing things like running focus groups, elaborately documented use cases, and discussing possible solutions using wireframes and things, they're all nice luxuries to have, but we don't have that luxury. The only way we find that we can get something happening with doctors and healthcare professionals is to rapidly prototype a solution in little chunks, that modular fashion, and then get that in front of them and then work with them and then iteratively improve the final outcome. So in that respect, rapid prototyping is the only way that we could do things with doctors. So that's one major challenge we face. The other challenge is healthcare industry deals with a lot of personal data, and patients' personal healthcare information is very important to them, and their private information. So there's legislations in Australian government legislations that protects patient information. So the security is a key thing that we have to be compliant with. And one of the things I found with WaveMaker is that from the design point, right from the point where we set up users and access permissions, right up to the prevention of cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery type dangers, WaveMaker platform at the platform level it handles. So that challenge is sort of met very well by WaveMaker. So that's some of the key things that we find us facing every day, and how WaveMaker helped us in these areas. Mayur, over to you.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Chandana, for giving some insight there. Raja, you're in the industry of insurance and banking, and in the last few years, we've seen a lot of shifts happening in that specific industry, especially around digital transformation and digital agility. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that your team and your business unit faces?
Yeah, right. See, basically, we've been in this industry for more than 25 years. So we sort of understand what is the change which is requested or need of the industry, and we provide solutions towards that. So we have started with our client server kind of a core solutions. Now we are web-based and cloud-based solutions we are in. So with that, we also understand the needs of the insurance company to reach out to their customers in terms of providing services and improving their service quality and improving their TAT in providing their services. So in that ways, they wanted to connect all their providers like agents, customers, medical providers, surveyors, and garages, and whoever is part of it, they want everyone to be connected online, and the service can be provided at the fastest manner, and which can improve their lifestyle, and it all should happen real time, and sometimes it happens at offline as well. So we understand that. So that is where our challenge comes into there, and we have started building portals, mobility solutions, and things to resolve that. So maybe we can discuss the integrity later, but that's a business challenge that we have actually.
Sure. Sure, Raja. Sure. So now that we've heard about your business challenges, I want to now kind of specifically get into a little bit more detail about how your decision-making process was done, and talk a little bit about how the traditional development versus low-code transition was done, right? So Chandana, can you tell our viewers why traditional development to solving the problems didn't work, and what made you look at low-code platforms?
Sure, Mayur. Software development, in my view, actually should be focused on the customer needs and the solutions, not about programming and coding. What I mean by that is, wherever possible, the coding that can be automated and generated should be done so that we develop code only for specific functionality. Just like the way, if we are to build a road these days, we are not going to use hand tools. We will use bulldozers, excavators, and various other devices. Like that, we should be using tools to develop software. But I find a lot of even large IT and enterprise companies, enterprise teams, using very fancy text editors to do web application development. Now, what I find there is that you might be able to do applications using these tools, but when you're doing a prototype type application and you show it to the customer and the customer requests, look, I would like to have my tracking ID on these 3 forms. Now, all of a sudden, all your text editor based application need to be changed. Now, try doing it on that sort of a system and then test it from A to Z. That's a lot of work. Whereas with the low-code platform like WaveMaker, we find that we can do that within, hours, if not minutes. So in that respect, that's one of the things that we seriously consider as a vital thing. The other thing is, as I mentioned in my previous discussion as well, rapid prototyping is the only way we could deliver applications to our clients. Therefore, we had to have a product that can generate the code and let us prototype quickly and then iteratively develop our products, rather than just having to sit down and go through and do coding from A to Z. So that is also another important part that we find in low-code platforms. Considering all of those, I think it was basically like it's a no-brainer. So that's where I hand over to Mayur.
Sure. Sure. Thanks, Chandana. Raja, you run a delivery team, and I would be very interested to hear, and if you can tell our audience as well, on what development challenges your team had, and what about low-code platforms caught their attention?
Yeah, sure, Mayur. Since we've been in this industry for a long time, we had to come out with some solutions, and we have started with the .NET, then we have moved to SharePoint. So all of the technologies have some pros and cons. So we see that the marketing expectation is getting either increased or changed on a very dynamic pace. So and it is not like since we are covering multiple regions and like APAC, Middle East, and Africa. So every region has its own requirements, and we need to quickly come out with some solution and address their needs quickly. So when we follow a traditional way of coming out with a solution, it takes its own pace and it cannot be changed overnight. But with the Waymaker and the low-code platform, we could able to come out with the solutions with the faster manner, and also that serves our customers' purpose, which helps us to position ourselves as market leaders, as well as our customers service their customers in the need of the hour. Over to you, Mayur.
Sure. Okay, let me shift gears a little bit. We talked about your business challenges. We talked about why the traditional approach would not work, and you guys looked at low code as a way to solve that problem. I want to now understand a little bit more and focus a little bit on the platform itself. Chandana, in your case, what when you were making that decision to adopt the low code platform, and you looked at, I guess, a number of vendors out there, what made you narrow your decision on Waymaker, and specifically, what were the key standout features that your teams benefited while you started using Waymaker?
Okay. When I looked for product or a platform for our software development for the web. We wanted the solid, stable platform backed by a good company. So that's one of the key points. The other point I wanted to make sure is that it is an open standards base and with no locking contracts with vendors, so that once we develop our application, we could run it. And even if the application platform provider is no longer in business, we can still manage our software and develop our software. Now, one of the key criteria as a software company, if you don't want to have your software dependent upon another company's web server or application server, where you have to have that running for your application to run. So I would be very wary of that sort of solution. So therefore, we looked for an open standard base, no locking, vendor locking type platform. That's one other thing. And the third factor is, as I mentioned before, rapid prototyping was the key of the criteria. So based on those key points, we chose WaveMaker. But after choosing WaveMaker, actually, we found few other really nice things other points that I might want to just quickly mention. One is it's a very easy platform to learn. We hired a uni grad while in the university still, and she was able to pick up the WaveMaker platform and was able to generate useful web-based products or forms within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. And it's a very logical platform in that sense, where once you know a little bit of the platform, you can use that knowledge to extrapolate and then utilize other parts of the platform. So it gives you that intuitive capability to get things done, be productive. It's also very easy to extend this product. For example, we wanted to have the signature capture process incorporated. Within a matter of an hour or so, we were able to incorporate one of the jQuery signature components. It does have a lot of widgets to do a lot of UI things, but if you don't have something in there, with a little bit of effort, you can incorporate that into the platform. And that's a great feature in my view. And also the help we get from WaveMaker in doing so is also fantastic. I think that's pretty much what I would like to add here. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but I don't think the time permits there. So Mayur, over to you.
Sure. So in your case, Raja, you're running a development team, which is focused on delivering solutions for the insurance market. Now, while your team is again looking at various local platforms, what are the 3 or 4 standout features that you looked at in Waymaker that helped you to select that and help you to benefit as part of your application delivery?
Yeah, sure, Mayur. Which I have mentioned. See, we wanted to come out with a solution in a faster manner, which is a quick to go to market. So that is one thing which we had looked at. We have evaluated multiple choices of how we can achieve that. It's a big journey actually. So we have zoomed in few platforms as well as have few partners. Then finally we have selected Waymaker with a few key factors considered with that. So one is the evolving technology changes. So we need a platform which can support the change or change trending technologies to be incorporated, which does not have to be invested for development separately. So that is one. And that platform should also enable the team to get adopted faster. So we would not invest much time on training, so that the team can start being productive than being there for the training for the long time. That is the second. Third one is we were expecting a platform to leverage our business model, where we have a huge business resources with us. So we have created API stack on our core platform. So we were looking for a platform which can quickly adapt to the APIs which we had to make use of our digitalization solutions. So, and also we were looking at a platform which can give apps which are responsive enough, because our clients are looking at field agents which should have various devices, right from laptop to iPad to handheld. So it should meet all types of resolutions, and it should be responsive enough to support them. So we had looked at all these parameters, and we have zoomed in on Waymaker. Over to you, Mayur.
Great. Thanks for that, Raja. I want to also touch upon the learning curve aspect. I think both of you talked about the important aspect of while adopting a platform, the ability to have your teams quickly adopt the platform and become productive. And I want to touch upon that a little bit more, because I think it's very important for our audience to also see that as they are also evaluating other platforms as well. Raja, can you talk a little bit about, you had a development team which, has been working on multiple technologies in the past, as you mentioned, and also being rapid environment and technology shifts that are happening. What sort of learning curve did your team have to go through? And, what time did they spend before they became productive in using Waymaker as a platform for building solutions in your case?
Yeah, so sure, Mayur. See, before we come into Waymaker, we had an organizational policy change that all our applications should be moved to Java-based platform. So that was one study. So our core products have been migrated to Java-based solutions. So we had a Java team who has experience in Java with us. So when we have taken Waymaker, it is just a matter of understanding how we can build solutions. So we had taken about 2 to 3 weeks to come out, enable the team to start building solutions. So that was the time which we took. We took help from Waymaker in getting the initial training part. Then we were able to straight away jump into the development. So just to mention one more, we have also taken UX services from Waymaker, which they helped us in presenting our solution the way that is market requires. So we have taken these things first two. One is the training and the UX services, with which we could able to enable our team in 2 to 3 weeks time. So that was the time which we took. For team,
and how about you, Chandana? You mentioned that you have teams in different geographies and different continents, and so it's always a interesting challenge when you onboard a new platform into the enterprise. So what kind of learning curve did your teams have when you sort of collaboration across different continents to learn this new technology?
Yes, thanks, Mayur. So we, unlike Raj, actually, in our team, we had the team with us with the traditional development platforms. So they were not Java programmers or web developers. So we had the situation where I had to learn, and then we did get some training from WaveMaker, and then we learned it together with our developers here. So still, within a matter of about 2 to 3 weeks, we were able to get the basic things done. And with the help of online support, as well as few training sessions with WaveMaker, I was able to get our team productive. So I think it's a good testament to the platform is that even without someone having web development experience, WaveMaker was able to fit into that environment, and we were able to pick it up and run quickly. So in that respect, I think we are very happy that we picked up WaveMaker, because it was making us productive within a matter of weeks or maybe a month, to the point where we could deliver applications. That's over to you, Mayur.
Hey, great. Thanks, Chandana, and thanks, Raja. So now I'd like to again shift gears a little bit. We kind of understood what their challenges were, how they sort of went about in solving those challenges with the Waymaker platform. I'd like to see the applications in action now. We'll have both Chandana and Raja demonstrate the applications that are built using Waymaker. So I'll pass the ball to Chandana first. Chandana, if you can show our audience the application that is built using Waymaker and talk a little bit about what the application does.
Sure. Thank you, Mayur. Okay. Now, very soon the screen will connect to your screen, so you'll be able to see the screen. This is an app that's designed for theater management, which is basically the journey from a patient, from the point when the patient come to a hospital until they're being operated or had a procedure done, and then they discharge from the theater. So that process is what we've set up here. Patients, when they check in, they get listed on the left-hand side. Now you can see the screen. Mayur, is it?
Yeah, we all can see it, Channa.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So on the left-hand side, the system will list all the patients who have checked in. And at the top, you will see a summary of the patient status, how many patients are in the admission area, how many in the theater area, and they get moved across through the areas as the data is being keyed in. When you click on a patient, it directly brings up all the relevant information for the patient, including any allergies and any other warnings like this. And this process involves a lot of compliance and also involves a lot of record keeping. So if you look at one of these forms, for example, admission form, that alone has about, I think, 30, 40 data points. Now, in capturing data, there's no time for these are used on a tablet, and then tablet will be used by many nurses or doctors. So therefore, how they identify themselves is by a PIN number. So you just quickly put your PIN number in. You don't have to put user IDs and passwords. It automatically identifies you, and it logs all your activities automatically behind the scene. Before we move this process into online onto a platform like this, they had to manually fill all of these fields. So there was no automated times and fields default values or anything. Everything had to be manually done. So if you look at this page, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs to fill in, and that's only one of those forms. So by converting it into this platform, we were able to give them very smart, very easy to use options to get things done quickly. And also, this is the signature pad that I was explaining to you before, that we were able to incorporate within about an hour and a half work. So that's the signature pad, and that is one application. That's one form that is being data captured. Now, the other important form I would like to show you is the observations, which is basically tracking how the patient's observations, how the patient's vital are being monitored. So these are the different times at which they were captured, and as the information is captured, if there's any of these measurements are going beyond certain preset values, it automatically goes into alert mode. It does send automatic messages to the head nurse or the relevant doctor. So the system keeps track of those things and then automatically trigger those events. And all of this data that's captured is displayed in a chart form at the front, right at the upfront here. So the doctors and the nurses can immediately notice how the movement of these values progress. There are a lot of other different sections in there. There's events can be documented as and when it happens, as to what event and when it happened, and what actions taken to deal with that event. And all of these things are recorded within the database so that we can provide them with statistical analysis and then various different information, and also provide the compliance reporting that's required. Over to you, Mayur.
Hey, wonderful, Channa. Thanks for that. It was good insight into the application that your team has built. I would like to now request Raja as well to demonstrate the app from his side.
Yeah, Mayur, are you able to see my screen?
Not
yes,
yet.
Raja.
Hold on.
I can see.
Okay, so just wanted to show you a prototype which we have built for a broker app actually. So when the broker logs in, so it is basically to give broker a tool which can serve various purposes. One is he anytime he should be able to, on top of his own business, as to what he had achieved versus what his KPIs are, and he should be able to quickly analyze his portfolio, and it should also give his action items in various lines of duty, and the other tools which can give him quickly do his business basically. So the one first, it shows the commission in versus sale what he had got for the month. Then you can see that his portfolio is about multiple lines of insurance business. You can just see how he achieved the number of policies with respect to what he had actually got. Okay, so then there are multiple KPIs for his action items, like how many are pending policies which request his attention, and how many pending endorsement requests that he has to act on, and how many claims that he had already raised and waiting for some action on it, and who are the customers having renewal dues where he has to meet and make a request, and also the list of things which he has to, the policies recently issued, and various service requests that is with the recent statuses. So all that have been in the landing page itself. So this is what is the landing page for this guy, and quickly start the business. Either you can search by product policy number, so that you can act on a certain product or a policy number here. Then if you wanted to create a quotation, just select which product he has to do. Then the policy preferences and a quick note, like choosing gender, term, sum assured, then a date of birth, and say calculate premium. So you would be able to see the premium with various modes of payment. So immediately you'll be able to advise the customer on these things. He can, if he is using an iPad, he can directly show them also. Then he can choose what he wanted to additionally add, like additional covers. Then you can proceed with the payment like that. So after the quick reviewing of information, you can directly go for selling the policy itself. So this is one option that we have other than the quote. I'm just showing a glimpse of what we have. We have done multiple apps. This is one for the broker. Similarly, we have done for customers, surveyors, and garages, so with various entities. And you can see various options which are given for the broker to act upon. This is for life insurance broker agent basically. So that's how our now the prototype is there. Over to you, Mayur.
Hey, thanks, Raja. Thanks for showing your application as well. Thanks to both of you about showing the application. Now we'll continue. So we are kind of approaching towards the end of the webinar. I wanted to kind of mention here that the platform itself is available for trial for free for 30 days. Both there is an on-premise version as well as a cloud version that any of you or your customers can use. You can download the platform. You can log into the online cloud version of the platform and try the platform out. It gives you complete full-fledged features and capabilities, and you can kind of build the applications, the kind of applications that both Raja and Chandana showed here. You can build those kind of applications in the trial mode as well. The trial gives you a really good sense of what out-of-the-box capabilities the platform has, both in terms of the UI widgets, in terms of the integration capabilities, as well as in terms of the other aspects that enterprises require, like security, access control, and things like that, integration. So I highly encourage all the people on the call to go and tell your teams to try out the platform. Again, it's available for trial, and during the trial as well, we provide a lot of assistance if there are questions during the trial, we have a chat. We have an ongoing chat that you can use, as well as there is training programs that are in place to help you understand the platform. So with that, we are almost towards the end of the webinar. We would now open up the webinar for questions. We have a number of questions that have come across from the audience. So I'd like to take some of these questions. Some are for the platform and some are for our customers. So let me get started there. One question we have here, and this is for our customers here, is that any advice that you have for our for prospects that are currently looking to make a decision on purchasing a low-code platform? So Chandana and Raja, if you can give us a piece of advice to the prospects that are looking for making that purchase decision.
Okay, so this is Raja here. So my suggestion would be, if you're looking at a platform and you would wanted to go to market on a quicker pace, just ensure that you are selecting a platform that gives you ability to do a prototyping faster, and also it is keep up in pace with the trending technologies, and also gives you a flexibility to adapt to any API stack that the third party or any your own homegrown applications that are given, and also gives you a responsive design in a an easy manner. So I would give you all this as a suggestion when you choose a platform. So that's would be my suggestion. Over to you, Chandana.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Raja. I think in addition to what Raja mentioned, they're all important points, as Raja mentioned. Also, you want to be able to make sure that the platform you choose is not just doing the little CRUD tricks. You need to be able to do serious applications. So try and don't just watch the intro video and then just settle on it. You need to look deeper and then see how it delivers real life applications. So you need to investigate a bit further than just the introduction or sales pitch. Do investigate, and you will find then what platform is ideal. The other thing I would say is watch out for per user pricing. What I mean is per end user pricing. Your application, once you develop, you should be able to deploy it to your users without having to pay money to the platform. So you need to, ideally, you need to choose a platform that is not dependent on their own web server or their own application server where you have to pay money every time you have a new user. And the other thing, that's one of the most important things, is check the last date of the update available, because there are a lot of platforms that are coming into the market and a lot of platforms die out as well. So 10 years ago, there was only about few, but now there's so many. Now, if you just jump in and then pick a platform and the last update available is 2015, you can be pretty sure that that platform is not going to be maintained anymore. So even if it has the best functionality, you need to have an application platform that is maintained and backed by a company that is interested in the long-term goals. So make sure you are picking up a platform that has a current ongoing development plan and a good roadmap. Over to you, Mayur.
Hey, thanks, Chandana, for that insight. I'm sure our audience will benefit from the insight that you as well as Raja gave. We have another question. What kind of legacy apps can be modernized using Waymaker? And so I'll take this one. So the platform itself is a open standards-based platform, and it's neutral in terms of the types of legacy applications that one can modernize. Using the core capabilities of the platform, we have customers that have modernized their Oracle Forms applications, some who have modernized their IBM Lotus Notes, some who have modernized just Java, basic Java web applications that were built like almost a decade ago, and so on. So the capabilities of the platform are sort of generic in nature, and they help modernize most of these legacy platforms. I would also say that there are capabilities in the platform that also make the modernization for certain legacy applications much more productive, right? So there are smarts in the application that help you to leverage some of the existing enterprise assets. So for example, we have AS400 customer that had decades of AS400 applications running, and using Waymaker, they were able to reuse their database logic, because a lot of AS400 logic is in the database. So it not only modernized the database design automatically, but also leverage some of the capabilities of the database logic and the business logic that was there in the database, and use them in the modernization journey. So pretty much, most of the legacy applications that you see today in the enterprise can be modernized using Waymaker. We have another question that asks, what is the stack used, technology stack used, and what is the licensing model? So as I mentioned during the webinar, we are the only platform out there that has the most modern technology stack in terms of your application development. So the application that is built or developed using Waymaker uses AngularJS as the client JavaScript framework. It uses Bootstrap and HTML5 for all the responsive and behavior. It uses Spring, Hibernate, and Java for the backend business logic. And for mobile applications, it uses Apache Cordova for doing multi-device platform integration and development for mobile devices. So it uses a lot more of modern technology stack. One, it is modern. Two, it is completely open. So there is no proprietary standards used in the application that you develop. And as we speak, some of this modern stack is also getting upgraded. In the call I mentioned earlier that we are on Angular 1.x, and as we speak, the platform is getting modernized to leverage Angular 6 also for the future versions of the platform.
Mayur, just to add to that, Mayur?
Yeah.
Just to add to that, one of the things I found with WaveMaker is that all of those things that you mentioned, it insulates the developer from the deep, having to have a deep understanding of Java or even deep understanding of Angular. So even when what I found is that it insulates the developer from those big, deep understanding and deep developments, and you could do things with the little knowledge you have. So that's the important point, I think.
Yeah, that is very well said, Chandna. We have customers who, teams that have not been on Angular, and they were still successful in using this platform while using this modern technology stack.
Yep.
There is another question, which is, is there a option to use when I'm building mobile applications? Is offline capability supported? And also, how does offline sync work? So I mentioned earlier, Waymaker helps to develop both the modern responsive web applications as well as mobile. In case of mobile, we help support mobile hybrid applications. And in the hybrid applications, there is an offline and automatic sync capability as well. So we have customers and case studies about customers who have built offline capability because they have field agents or they have field people who are on site, and there's very low network, or in some cases no network connectivity, and their application still needs to work and continue to function as it collects data and populates data, and then when they come back online, all the data gets synced back to the server. So the platform supports both offline data persistence as well as sync. Automatically, the developer does not need to do anything special while developing the application. There's one more question, which is mainly around mainframe. So the question is more around if the end objective is to reduce MIPS, and I think MIPS stands for billion instructions per second for those who are new to legacy mainframe applications. How does the Waymaker platform help in reducing the MIPS cost? So there's a little different take here, right? From a legacy migration, especially when you're in a legacy stack like AS400 or mainframe, from a modernization journey, you're looking at multiple aspects, right? You're looking at modern user experience, the ability to have the application run on multiple devices so that, as I mentioned earlier, different kinds of users can use it in mobility scenarios, and the ability to leverage a lot of assets that you already have in the business logic and your enterprise assets. So from that standpoint, we help a lot in terms of modernizing the application and help doing that in a much more productive manner. And from a instruction set and from a optimization standpoint, you continue to have the same optimizations that you would currently have, but with much more rigor in terms of the user experience, the integration capabilities, and much more modern technology stack that helps you to kind of use this modern platform for a long time in the forward. There's one more question on what security measures are there for data that have to be considered and that are available in the platform. So from a security standpoint, the platform has a lot of security built in. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of enterprise banks and enterprise insurance companies, and for them, security is top of the radar. So from that standpoint, the platform supports both three levels of security. One is from an authentication standpoint. It supports integrating with all your enterprise assets, be it LDAP, Active Directory, single sign-on, SAML, and so on and so forth. So all of your existing authentication security mechanisms can be brought in and can be integrated in your applications that are built using Waymaker. From an authorization standpoint, we support both coarse-grained and fine-grained. So you can do coarse-grained access controls, RBAC controls on your pages and your widgets, but you can also go very fine-grained and you can control each and every API that is published using the platform and control that. And the third level of security is, which Chandana mentioned earlier, in healthcare scenarios and a lot of banks and pretty much in a lot of enterprise scenarios, is where you want security for cross-site scripting, the brute force attacks, web application vulnerabilities, and things like that. So the platform has built-in support for making sure that you are protected against all these vulnerabilities, so that when you take your application to production, you already have these protections built-in, mechanisms built in. And then finally, there's also data protection, data level security. So you have protection that you can do at the database level, at individual record level, and also you can have security in terms of what data can be viewed by what personas in your application. So that kind of data security is also there. There's also encryption built into the platform. So for data that is sensitive in your application, that can be encrypted as well. So overall, security is a big part of the platform, and we understand that developers want to enable security while not have to worry about security for their applications. So with that, I think there are a few more questions. We'll take them offline. We'll answer them back to you. But I again highly appreciate the entire audience for taking time out on a busy day and attending this webinar. And I'm really thankful to both of our esteemed customers, both Raja as well as Chandana. Thanks so much for not just being on the call, but sharing your valuable experience. And that goes a long way for people who are looking at making that decision as part of their modernization journeys. So thank you, Raja, and thank you, Chandana, so much. And
you're welcome.
At this point, we are at the end of the webinar. Thanks so much for all of you for joining the webinar, and looking forward for all of you to be in the